Masterclass group, or you might be watching this afterwards in the replay on YouTube. So welcome to our live stream in which we're going to be introducing one of our graduates to you. So my name is Lorraine. I'm the CEO of Formula Botanica. You may have seen me in some videos about Formula Botanica and in the masterclass that you've been taking. And I really hope that you're having a great week. It's Friday evening or Friday afternoon here in the UK, and I'm really excited to host this interview for you. So we've had a lot of questions in about what it's like to study with Formula Botanica and what it's like to start your own beauty brand. And I've got someone here with me who can answer all of these questions for you. So rather than me telling you these things, I thought it'd be much more fun to bring someone in who has been there and done that. So I am really excited to introduce you to Emma Zwisler, who runs the Sunday Standard. Welcome, Emma.
Hi, Lorraine. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So tell us a bit about where you are in the world and what you do, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am the founder of a clean beauty brand called the Sunday Standard. We are based in the United States. I am currently coming to you from home here in Chicago, Illinois. And so our brand was founded about a year and a half ago. We're still very small. We have 4 products, and our line is formulated to heal blemish-prone skin from the inside out. It's kind of what we look to approach with our products.
So how long have you been going? I know you just touched on it, but when did you actually launch?
November of 2018.
Wow. So you've been going over a year. And how's it been as a skincare entrepreneur with your own business?
You know what? It's amazing. It's honestly a dream come true. It's been one of the most fulfilling things that I've gotten to do with my life. It's amazing to work for yourself. It's amazing to be able to touch customers on a daily basis and know that you're really helping them solve a problem. Like I said, my products are really geared towards breakout prone skin, which is my personal skin type. So I feel like I've really been able to connect with a lot of people here in the States, you know, both in person and online about their skin and being able to help them. And that's just super fulfilling. So, you know, every day as a beauty entrepreneur is totally different. My business is completely run by myself. So I'm a one-woman show right now. And so every day is a different experience, and it's really fun.
So do you do this full time, or do you have a day job as well?
I do this full time. So when I first started out, I was working a corporate 9-to-5 job. And I wanted to launch my business and see how far I could get it before I sort of let go of that safety net. And I went full time in May of 2019. So about 6 months into launching my line, which has been one of the best decisions I've ever made. And it's been so fun. So I'm coming up on my year anniversary of working full time as an entrepreneur.
That's amazing. Well, congratulations. I'm so pleased for you. And I know it is very rewarding to work for yourself, but it must have been quite scary to take that step of quitting your job and just going for it. So how did you get to that stage that you thought, this is my dream, this is where I'm going to be?
Well, so the thing that kind of led me to launch the brand, and it's interesting because I actually had a small beauty brand before I found Formula Botanica. And like a lot of people, I had learned a ton just from self-study. So either online or reading books or just kind of playing around, you know, in my little home lab. And I had launched a beauty brand called Flora Botanical Skincare that I had for about 2 years before I launched the Sunday Standard. And during that time, I realized that there was a huge demand for these products. You know, people are getting so much more interested in clean beauty. They're getting so much more educated about ingredients and sustainability and manufacturing processes. And they're looking for brands that can provide them with solutions to the problems that they're looking to solve. So while I had my smaller brand, I knew that I wanted to grow, and I knew that I wanted to make something bigger, because that was really like, you know, you kind of think of like the farmer's market kind of brand, or the thing that you sell like at little craft shows, but it wasn't that serious for me at the time, but I loved doing it. So I knew that I had a huge passion for it. And I found your school, I took some courses, And after that, I knew I had to relaunch because I learned so much from the classes that I felt like I was really able to level up and do something really amazing. So I decided to, rather than continue with my current business, then Flora, I decided to completely rebrand. I made an entirely new product assortment based on what I had learned from my previous business. And then I launched in November 2018 with the Sunday Standard. So I had a little bit of a running start. I think a lot of people hear that I've gone full time after 6 months and think like, wow, that's really fast. That's amazing. You must have, done something incredible. And while I don't want to undervalue the work that I've done, I do think that I have done a lot of amazing things in that time. I had a little bit of a head start. So I think it's, important for people to, I guess kind of remember that when they look at brands and businesses that they see as being really successful really quickly, that there probably is like some backstory there that they maybe don't.
Yeah. There is no such thing as an overnight success. We all know that. It may look that way, but there's been like 20 years of hard work leading up to that overnight success. So I totally get where you're coming from. So what inspired you to create the Sunday Standard? What's the story behind the name and the brand?
Yeah, I love that question. So when we were kind of coming up with, the idea of a new brand, and I was working with my partner that helped me do the branding, we wanted something that felt, very much like you were taking some time to care for yourself. Like what is, beyond beauty products is that space and that time that a lot of people take either in the morning or in the evening to really just be by themselves and take care of themselves and do something that's nice for themselves. And I feel like a couple of years ago, Sunday self-care was like that huge trend, right? Of, hashtag Sunday self-care. So we wanted to take the idea of what that kind of embodies of taking a day to care for yourself and do something really nice for yourself and make it like, the gold standard. So the Sunday Standard is the idea that you can take small moments in every day and use them to kind of care for yourself and to do something that's, nice for your skin and nice for kind of your mental well-being. So that's kind of where the name came from. And, I have a design background. I was a apparel designer for 8 years before I launched my beauty brand. So one of the things that I wanted to solve with my brand was creating a line of products for, acne prone skin, breakout prone skin that didn't look medicinal. I feel like a lot of the things that are out there for that category are very prescriptive looking. They're very, they almost look like they came from a doctor's office. And I think that there's a reason why they look like that is because they want to have this idea of effectiveness. So I understand where the marketing comes from, but I felt as a consumer that I never had the opportunity to use those beautiful products that sat on your, shelf and looked gorgeous with the beautiful packaging and the beautiful colors. So I really wanted to bring that to market with my line, which is why we kind of approached it from a line of having this very luxurious, packaging feel, a very luxurious experience. But I also wanted to come at it from a price point that was accessible.
Yeah, and it shows. I mean, I've just been holding up some of Emma's products while she was talking, and I could tell you, and I've said this a few times in the videos over the last week in this group, they feel so chunky and satisfying in my hands. It's just really lovely to sort of hold them up and go, oh, that feels great. So I can totally get where you're coming from. And I just want to say, anyone watching, if you have any questions for Emma, just post them in the chat and I will highlight them, and we'll have a bit of a Q&A at the end with any questions that you've asked, because I know a lot of people here at the moment want to understand what it's like to run your own beauty business and what it's like to study online skincare formulation and what it's like to, be selling these amazing products for yourself. So if you have any of those questions, just post them up and we'll come to them in a while. So I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about how you got started studying with Formula Botanica. So what's it like studying with us?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great experience. Like I said, I had my smaller beauty brand. I knew I wanted to level up. I started doing some research on, what my options were, because it almost seems like, what a weird thing to almost go to school for, is cosmetics formulation. I knew I didn't necessarily want to approach it from a traditional scientific, approach, but I more of a natural approach, but I know that you need both. And I felt like Formula Botanica offered that, where I really felt like from even just day one in the courses, like I think the first thing in the first course is all about the science of skin. Yeah. And I tell my customers that all the time, that my products are really formulated with a deep understanding of the way that the skin works and the way that my products interact with the skin. And if you don't know that, then it's hard to formulate products that are effective. So I felt like I loved that it had not only information on, you know, the skin and the science, but I felt like there was so much information on how do you continue to educate yourself beyond the courses. A lot of resources on where to go. Like, for example, I use PubMed all the time when I'm researching for my products because I want to make sure that they're effective. And I may not necessarily have the resources to initiate a study on my own, but I do have the time and energy resource to read articles and sift through trusted resources and make sure that my products are effective and that they're scientifically backed information that is guiding the formulation of my products. And I didn't know about a lot of that stuff until I took your courses. So I thought that it was great that you give a lot of resources that allow your students to continue their education beyond the classes. So I thought that that was great. And then, you know, the modules themselves are really nicely set up in a way that not only are you working on one thing at a time. So for example, you know, you're doing a module on, you know, facial oils. You learn a lot about that at once and you have some opportunity to practice that skill, but then you move on to the next thing and you get to build upon those skills, which I think is really useful. But I love the way that it's set up, that it was really easy for me when I was then formulating a lot of my products to go back and reference exactly what I needed. You know, what if I was working on a facial oil and I had some questions about essential oils and how do I include that? You know, you had all of those really great directories and, you know, informational, you know, downloads that like I have that stuff set up and I keep it in my lab. And when I'm formulating, you know, I reference that. So I still feel like I'm coming back to the courses, even though I've finalized them. So I thought that they were really helpful. I learned a ton. Like I said, I wasn't necessarily even planning on reformulating my products when I went into your courses, but by the time that I got done with them, I knew that I had to completely start over because I had so much more information and I knew that I would be able to bring the products, you know, to such a higher level that I almost felt like, let's just start from a new place with new products and a new brand and really just see where we can go. And, you know, my line, I feel like I've been really fortunate. It's been successful and I feel like I'm able to support myself doing it and I get to go to work every day and do what I love.
That's amazing. What a fantastic story. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for saying all those lovely things about Formula Botanica. I should add, we didn't ask Emma to say any of those things. So I'm really thrilled that you've just had such a great experience with us. So which courses did you take with Formula Botanica? Because I know we've already had a question about that. So let's just run through that.
Yeah, so I did the Diploma in Organic Skincare Formulation. And then I did the certificate in, and I'm probably going to get the names a little bit wrong because I have a bad memory in this area, but the Natural Preservation course, that certificate. And then I am working my way through the Advanced Diploma right now, which has taken me a little bit longer than I would like to admit, but it's because I've gotten a little bit sidetracked in running my business. So that's, you know, a good enough reason, I guess, to get with it. But, you know, my goal is to eventually have that advanced diploma as well.
Thank you. Obviously, those 3 courses are contained within the International Organic Skincare Entrepreneur Program, which is currently open for enrollment as well. And yeah, they're fantastic courses and they will help you get to the stage that obviously you can be selling your own products as well. So what's it like becoming a formulator? You know, how should you get started as a formulator if you're totally new to this? What advice would you give people?
Well, I think it's probably a little bit different for everyone, but the one thing that I've noticed is that I really like to just hyper focus in on one product at a time when I'm formulating so that I can kind of just continually build on the idea. So I generally start with an idea of kind of where I want to go, what I want the product to look like. Maybe I want to have an idea of what the end packaging is going to be, what the consistency that I want is going to be. And then I'll start researching. Like I said, I like to make my formulas very backed in scientific information, not necessarily just an idea of what I think might work, because I want my products to be effective. That's very important to me, and it's important to my customers, of course, as well. So I think, going in with an idea of what you want, but then just being very open-minded. Try something new. If you're not sure if it's going to work, you just have to try it and see. And it might not work, but it might, and you might be really surprised by that, and that might, lead to something that you didn't expect. So I think having an open mind, having an intention of creativity and understanding that you might not get it right away, but that, failing is kind of part of the process, and it's eventually going to get to where you want to go. So it's one of those things, practice makes perfect. And, it's pretty specific on, the ratios and different things. So even small changes in a formula can make a really big difference in your end result. So just being curious, and, being willing to kind of put in the time and energy that it takes to go through a lot of iterations. I mean, I think I have some formulas that I'm still working on that I feel like I've made 100 different iterations of this and I'm still not, happy with it. And that's okay, but it's just part of the process and it's fun. So I think if you just enjoy it and, if you're here because you love formulating and you love being creative and you love making skincare products, then it's going to be a fun process for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Being a formulator is fun. And I think sometimes some people come to us and they expect that you'll make one product and then that's the product that you'll sell. But as you've just very rightly said, it takes time and it takes lots of iterations until you finally have that product that you are ready to sell. So what are your products? Shall we just run through them?
Yeah, I would love to. And I have some things here I can show you some of our final products as well. So our best selling product is our Superfood Cleansing Balm. So this, I knew when I was formulating my products that I wanted things that were very, very gentle to the skin, because in my I'll call it my acne journey, I found that anything that was too harsh really just caused my skin to flare up. And that kind of goes against traditional, dermatologist recommendations. However, I knew from experience that I wanted something that was super gentle. So I decided to go with an oil cleanser versus a traditional soap-based or foaming cleanser. So this is a really gorgeous product. It's a deep green balm product that has a little bit of an emulsifier in there. So it turns from an oil to a milk. It's a oil to milk cleanser. That's our best-selling product by far, which has been really fun to see people's reactions in trying something that's very different from what they're used to using. So when people come to me and ask, how do I change my skin? What's the first step? I always ask them, what are you using as a cleanser? Have you ever done an oil cleanse before? And obviously, I didn't invent oil cleansers. There are tons out there. There are a lot of other really amazing products as well. Mine's a little bit unique in that it has a bit of a mild exfoliating property to it because it's got some French green clay and spirulina in there. So not necessarily an exfoliation particle, but something that does have just a little bit of grit. So it's really fun to use, and I think customers love that. Yeah, you can see that gorgeous texture.
You can see I've already had my
it. And then we do, of course, our little spatula that comes with that, and you'll learn all about why you might want to include one of these when you learn about natural preservation techniques. But we include that to make sure that our customers keep their fingers out of the jar. We also have our second product. This is a mask product. So this is our fruit enzyme and vitamin C resurfacing mask. And this is a clay-based powder mask. So this one is really fun because we use a little bit of kind of chemistry to make it a foaming face mask. So when you add water to this product, it doesn't turn into your traditional clay texture. It foams up a little bit. But this is a fun product. It comes in this little 2-ounce jar, and you just shake a little bit of the powder out. And when you add water, it turns into a really deep green color. So one of the things that I wanted in my line was to make it a really fun and enjoyable experience to use. So as you're kind of using the products, there's a lot of, kind of sensory stuff. The textures are amazing. The smells are amazing. The colors are amazing. It just makes your skincare routine a little bit more exciting. I have a lot of customers tell me that they love washing their face now because they get to use these products that are really fun. Mm-hmm. So you can kind of think about, you have so many, decisions to make when you're formulating that don't necessarily just include ingredients or end results, but also what does it feel like? What does it smell like? What is the customer experience? What is the packaging experience? We chose to use letterpress packaging. I don't know if you can see this, but It's got a beautiful tactile texture to the packaging as well, which is so much fun. Our last two products, we have 2 facial oils in our products. I love facial oils because they don't require the harsher preservative systems that traditional moisturizers might. So I think that they're a little bit more gentle on the skin. Again, my line is all about treating the skin as gently as possible. So this is our day oil. You can see that it's this gorgeous green color. So this is made up of just a bunch of different really beautiful plant oils. The green comes mostly from grapeseed oil, acai berry, and then a little bit of blue tansy as well. And then we have a night oil, which is formulated to be more of a restorative and reparative. The morning day oil is really more clarifying and balancing, but they pair really nicely together. So this is our night oil. You can see, again, the color on this. And that is mostly rosehip, buriti. We've got sea buckthorn. So you really can kind of pick and choose the ingredients that you use in your formulations to get kind of the end results that you wanted. There are probably different ingredients that I could have chosen, say to make this oil that would have been just as effective, but I knew I wanted it to be this really beautiful golden color. Yeah. So I chose the certain ingredients that I did, not only for their effectiveness, but also for their aesthetic appeal as well.
Oh, that's lovely. That's my favorite one, actually. I love colorful oils. I think they're all beautiful products, and I have obviously been using them, but I always have this weakness for orangey, sort of golden colored products.
And the ingredients that go into them tend to make your skin so glowy that it's hard to not love them, because you wake up in the morning and you're like, wow, I look amazing. I love it.
I love it. Yeah, that's beautiful. Well, thank you for explaining those 4 different products. Are you planning to add any more to your range in the future?
Yes, I am. I actually am in process of conducting a survey right now with my current customers on creating some moisturizers. So one of the things that I wanted to do was to go directly to the source and find out what my customers wanted. So we created a survey, and we have it open. I've got people taking it right now, and it'll close in a couple of days. And that is basically all about creating some moisturizers. So that is probably one of the more difficult things to formulate, is an emulsion. You have to get it stability tested. You've got to deal with preservative systems. I'm also looking to get into dealing with some SPF potentially. Wow. So those things are going to take me a little bit of time. I'm probably planning anywhere between probably 9 and maybe 12 months, or maybe longer even, once I get the formula done, to get the kind of certifications that we'll need to be able to make that happen. Because there are different certifications, especially for sunscreens, I'm sure, as you all know. But yeah, definitely working on adding to the line. I'm always formulating and working on different things. I've probably got, at any given moment, 5 to 10 random labeled jars of things in my own personal beauty cabinet, and I'm always trying something new, which is really fun. So yeah, we will be adding to the range, hopefully this year yet, but we'll see how far we can get.
And we've had a comment in already from someone who said, what a fabulous range you have created. Congratulations. So thank you
so much.
Lovely. So before I jump on all the questions, because we're getting quite a lot of questions in, thank you very much. And if you do have a question for Emma, just post it up in the chat here on Facebook, and we will hopefully get to all of them. The one thing I wanted to ask you about is, what was your sort of average day like before you took the courses with us, before you launched the Sunday Standard, and what's it like now?
Oh man. Well, before it's honestly so night and day. It's a hard question to answer. I would say before I was very, I think I spent a lot of time worried about marketing my business and all these different things. And, once I took the courses and I knew that the formulas were good, I think one of the reasons why I really wanted to take the courses was I would always have people ask me like, well, how did you learn how to do this? And I almost felt maybe not embarrassed, but a little bit of when I was like, well, I learned online, or like, I taught myself, or, I read a book. But being able to say like, oh, I have my diploma in organic skincare formulation from Formula Botanica, like it really just gave me the confidence that I needed to just put that part of my business aside and say like, I know that these formulas are amazing. And now I can spend time doing all these other things. So, my business now, like I said, it's very different every single day. I probably spend about 2 days a week making product. So I do still make all the products myself in a lab here in Chicago. I just moved into a new space yesterday, so that's really exciting. I'm excited to get that up and running. So I'm probably about 2 days a week formulating and, packaging. And then I probably spend 1 to 2 days a week, doing emails. I feel like that's constantly like you're in and out of email all the time, in and out of DMs all the time on Instagram and social media. But there's always different projects that kind of come up. So right now, like I said, I'm working on formulating some things that required making that survey that I wanted to send out. So I spent some time doing that. I spend a lot of time reaching out to some different partners. I've gotten to a point where I don't have any employees right now, but I do have a few people that I partner with on certain projects, whether they be photographers or stylists or accountants, different people that help me kind of run my business in a way that doesn't require that I bring on employees, but that makes me feel like I have a support system. Yeah. Every day is super different. That's a super hard question to answer, but I spend a lot of time in the lab. I spend a lot of time at the post office, which I feel fortunate about because if I'm at the post office, it means I'm sending out orders, and I love doing that. So very lucky to do that.
I guess that's the fun thing of running your own business. You never quite know what's going to happen from one day to the next. And I can tell you, I have exactly the same thing. So I do recognize everything you're saying. The one thing I wanted to ask before I'm going to dive on all these questions is, what do you think was the biggest challenge to starting the Sunday Standard?
That's a hard question too. I think a lot of maybe kind of little challenges that all sort of make it feel big. I think the hardest part about starting really anything is that there's this expectation when you look at other businesses that you're like, wow, they have it all together. They look so professional and everything is perfect. And how am I ever going to get to that point? And I feel like I had to get to a point where I was like, it's not perfect, but it's good enough. And I'm gonna start, and I'm gonna launch this business, and we're gonna keep growing. So for example, you had mentioned that you love the weightiness of our packaging, and I love this dropper top. This is not the packaging that I launched this product in. So we have only been a business for 1.5 years, and I have already changed some of my packaging. I have already dropped a product from my line. There's, you know what I mean? Like, you just kind of have to start, and it's going to feel really overwhelming because you're never going to feel ready. And I think that that's a huge challenge in getting anything done in business, is that you want it to be perfect and you want to put this really professional like face out towards the world, but that's really hard to do, especially if you're operating on your own. And especially if you're operating, maybe you have limited resources and you're not, a company that went out and got a huge amount of funding before you launched your business. So just start somewhere and just keep going, and know that you can make changes and that you're allowed to make mistakes and that you can just keep moving forward, I think is like some of the best business advice that I can ever give anybody.
Yeah. Done is good enough. I think that's a phrase we use often as well. Okay, so let's jump on some of these questions. I We've already answered which courses Emma took. So she took our Diploma in Organic Skincare Formulation, Certificate in Natural Cosmetic Preservation, and she's currently working through our Advanced Diploma in Organic Cosmetic Science. And all three of those courses are in the bundle that we're currently opening enrollment for, that we're currently enrolling hundreds of people for. So yeah, come and check them out on our website at formulabotanica.com. So Emma, where do you create your products? You've already touched on this a little bit, but what's your workspace like?
Yeah, I wish I could show you. I wish that I was there now, but I'm at home because we are locked down here in the States. So I'm currently in Chicago, Illinois. I do have a separate studio space that I do production in that I kind of consider my office. So I have it set up where I have, my formulation table. I have all of my ingredients. I have a refrigerator where I keep some of my more sensitive ingredients that I also use as part of my production process for my cleansing balm. And then, I ship out of that office as well. So we're a pretty small operation. I would say my office is probably 400 square feet, maybe smaller. Like I said, I don't currently have any employees, so it is just me, but it's a tight space. But, I actually started out of my house. That's what I did at first, was I had a separate bedroom that I dedicated, and I'm very lucky that I had that extra space in my home. But you have your kitchen, a space that you can set aside where you can get everything really clean, follow the good manufacturing processes. Even if you're working out of your house, make sure that you're, following those processes to keep everything sanitary and clean and up to code, so that you start in a really good place. And as you get bigger and as you grow, you just continue those processes in place. So I have, like I said, moved into a studio that I work out of, but I did start pretty small in the extra bedroom of my home.
I love it. And we hear this so much from our graduates. They often just dedicate a space in their home to creating products. And, they manage to apply good manufacturing practice there, which Emma just talked about. And actually that ties in with a question we've had from a couple of people about the laws and regulations in the US and how suitable our training program is for someone in the US. So I'd rather have you answer that than me, but, tell us what you think.
Yeah, I think that the course was great. I mean, even though I would say, so our regulations are obviously different here in the United States than they are in the EU, but I loved knowing how to manufacture products that were suitable to meet EU standards. And the reason is because the EU standards are a lot more stringent than the ones here in the US. So if you're going to be making products and you're concerned about customer safety and you're concerned about ingredient safety, which my guess is if you got to, an organic and natural skincare formulation school, that you probably are interested in those things, that it's really beneficial to know how to meet those requirements, even if it's not legally required of you by law. So there are a lot of things that I either don't include in my products, that I could if I wanted to, but I don't because they're not deemed safe by the EU, or they maybe don't meet my personal kind of brand ethos of what I will and will not include in my brand. I really focus a lot on endocrine disruptors and hormone disruptors when I look at my brand. So there are resources that I use to choose which ingredients that I use.
The one thing I would say is the regulations, when we cover them in our materials, what we encourage our students to do, which Emma just talks about, is we want them to comply with the highest standards globally. And at the moment, that's the EU. Also, Japanese standards are very high, because imagine that, say, 5 years from now, all of a sudden you're selling globally, then it won't be sufficient for your products to just comply with your local laws in the USA, because as Emma also touched on, they are very weak. And that is a problem because unfortunately, some of these best practice requirements like stability testing, like microbial challenge testing, like making sure that you have the right paperwork in place, they just aren't really required by US law. So we do touch on them in the materials, but we don't encourage you to necessarily just comply with that sort of lowest common denominator. We're trying to get you to comply with the highest standards, because that way you can sell anywhere in the world. And also, if you're selling through a website and someone orders from you from the EU, if your company is in the USA, then the products that you sell will be an export product and therefore would have to comply with EU regulations. So if you plan to have an online shop, then by default, you will be ready to sell globally. I'm getting washed out here by the light, by the way. Sorry, I'm turning bright white. Okay, so the next question we've got is, what do you know now that you wish you knew before starting the courses? Wow, that's a big question as well.
Oh my gosh, so many things, I'm sure. What do I know now that I wish I had known before starting the courses? I don't know. I think maybe just that you really like dedicate the time, I think, to the courses. And I feel like I was able to do that with my first course, but I would think a little over ambitious in how quickly I thought I'd be able to get this done, which is why I am now, 2 years out from having started my advanced diploma, and I've not been able to finish it yet. So I think, know that it's going to be a time commitment, and build that into your schedule so that you can finish the courses. And if there's maybe something a little bit more specific that you were hoping to get out of that question, I'm certainly happy to answer a follow-up question. But
okay. Let's see. Here's another really interesting one that just ties into the question we just answered. I'm going to just pick half of this because Emma just answered the other half. But you're not a cosmetologist. So how, I think, unless there's something I don't know. Okay. So how do you convince people to buy from you? And how do you make the right products?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have a lot of people ask me, like, how did you learn this? Where did you get your information? And like I said, I would have people ask me that with my old line before I had this degree. And I hated answering that question because I didn't believe in myself and I didn't feel like other people would either. But taking this course, I was able to tell people, like, I have my diploma in organic skin formulation from this accredited online, school. It's called Formula Botanica. And people were, I think, really impressed by that. I think you still run into people that are looking for, say, for example, dermatologist recommended products. And they might say, like, okay, well, you're not a dermatologist. And my answer to that is, you're correct. I am not a dermatologist. But people that are looking for those products, they might just not be my customer. And that's okay. You have to realize that not everyone is your customer. But I have a lot of customers that love supporting small business. They love supporting women-owned businesses. They love knowing that I put a lot of time and energy and effort into researching my ingredients extensively. And they've found that they're able to trust that someone is doing that for them, because a lot of people feel like they should be doing that themselves, but maybe they don't have the time or the resources or the knowledge. So I think that they feel really good being able to buy from someone that they trust is doing that for them. And I really try to be that person for my customers, is making sure that there's nothing in my products that I am not 100% happy putting on my own skin, and also telling my customers that it's safe to put on theirs as well.
Yeah, fair enough. You can't be absolutely every single thing. People often expect that someone who's making beauty brands will be a dermatologist, a cosmetologist, a chemist, a biologist, and you're a formulator. And that is super empowering because you can create your own products and you know what goes into them. You know how they work on the skin. You know that they work also because your customers are telling you. So I love that.
One thing that I do offer that I mentioned is I always give my customers samples if they want them. So if people want to try the products before they invest, I think that makes people's comfort level. It's an easier step to get to when they can try something without necessarily spending a lot of money to do it. So I have like a little sample set basically that I give out to customers. It's $6. It's really affordable. And basically they're able to try little mini samples of all of our products. So, I think that kind of helps people get over the hump a little bit if they are worried. But quite frankly, I don't get a ton of concern of customers that feel like they shouldn't be buying from a beauty brand like mine.
No. So what sort of feedback do you get from your customers then?
A lot of positive feedback, which I feel really grateful for.
Yeah.
I think people, they like having something. I often get customers that are maybe moving to my line from, say, like drugstore cosmetics things that they've used for a really long time that they don't necessarily know how to put products together that work together. So if they move to my line and they use all the products, like they'll start to see really big changes in their skin. And I attribute that to the fact that my line is very gentle and it's very caring to the skin's natural cellular function. Like we you have ingredients that work to boost barrier repair or work to boost cellular turnover, just things that are going to make anyone's skin look great. So I get a lot of really positive feedback from my customers about that. But I also hear a lot from customers, like I said, that they really are happy to support a local business. They're happy to support a small business. They're happy to support a woman-owned business. And it makes them feel really good that they're able to do that and also buy products that they love.
Oh, amazing. I love it. So here's a question, and I think this one has come back in a few places actually. So do you do all the branding and marketing yourself?
I don't. No. So that was one thing that I recognized as a limitation of mine. And I knew I wanted to bring someone in to do the branding for me. So my branding is done by a woman named Whitney Anderson. She is a Milwaukee-based graphic designer. And her and I were able to put together like kind of a branding and packaging suite that felt like it conveyed my brand. So basically I sat down and told her what I wanted it to feel like, the experience that I wanted customers to have. And she was able to put together this amazing packaging suite for me that I'm really, really proud of and I absolutely love. And then it was really important to me, one of my kind of, brand building blocks and ethos is that I try to work with other small independent women-owned businesses whenever I can. So working with Whitney was really important to me. And then we chose to work with a small women-owned print shop in Milwaukee to get all the packaging produced. So we do, of course, pay a little bit more for that than I would if I were to order from like a really large manufacturer. But the quality is amazing. And I'm really happy to be able to support another small family in doing that. Regarding the marketing, I get a little bit of help here and there. I do have some people that take some photos for me and different stuff like that. I run also our social media accounts myself, which that's important to me because I like being able to connect with my customers directly. I have a lot of people that send me DMs and ask me about their skin or ask me about products. And I just haven't gotten to a point where I feel comfortable having a third party answer those questions for me. Because I realize that a really big part of my brand is being able to connect with me personally one-on-one and talk to the formulator, talk to the brand owner, talk to someone who's been there with the same skin problems that these people maybe have and get some advice. So you definitely can do it all yourself. If you're able to hire someone out in areas where you feel like you don't excel, I think that that's a really good, opportunity. I do not think that my brand would be where it is today without the packaging and the beautiful branding, because that's honestly draws people in to my line. It maybe isn't what makes them come back and buy it again. I think that that's the product, but the thing that maybe gets them to purchase it for the first time is probably the packaging and the branding. And I certainly attribute that to having help.
Yeah, I'm so glad to hear you admit to that, because I think a lot of people feel that they have to do everything. They have to design the formulations, they have to design the packaging, they have to create the brand, they have to build the website, they have to run social media and do the finances and everything else. And no one can do everything, and no one can do everything really, really well. I always use the example at Formula Botanica is I don't do HR. I will never do HR. It's just not going to happen. And you have to, accept that you have these limitations and that you need help at times, because you're creating something that's bigger than yourself. And branding in particular can often make or break your company ultimately. And you've obviously, you've got such a strong brand, and it shows on your website, it shows in the packaging you've got, it shows in your story. And I love that, because I really want people to realize that, you can bring in help when you're creating this business for yourself. That's lovely. Okay, we've got another one here. This is quite a big one, actually. Oh no, I'm going to just answer this one first. Is the Diploma in Organic Skincare Formulation that Emma did a different course that I'm currently seeing on offer? We're currently opening enrollment for our International Organic Skincare Entrepreneur Program, which is a bundle of 6 courses, and it contains that Diploma in Organic Skincare Formulation that Emma was just talking about, which she took. So go and check it out on our website. I'm sure one of my team members can just put up the link, although it is everywhere in the group as well. So please do come and check that out. And we've already enrolled hundreds of students, and they're getting started on their life-changing journey of starting their organic skincare brand too. So here's the big one. How did you fund your business?
It's an awesome question. And I love answering this question because I'm very proud of this. I am 100% self-funded. So start small. It sounds hard. No, I did not have a huge cash infusion. No, I did not dump hundreds of thousands of dollars into my brand. I started small. I took the money from my corporate job that I could have been spending on dinners out and shoes and events with friends, and I invested in myself. And it's the best decision I've ever made. So it's possible to do it. I think I read, gosh, what is the name of this book? I wish I had. I think it's called The $500 Startup.
Okay.
I highly recommend that to anyone who might be interested in doing a self-funded startup business, because it made me feel empowered that it was possible. And it is possible, because here I am and I did it myself. So you can do it too. It does take a little bit of saving, and it makes those really big ticket first initial investments feel a little bit scary. It's hard to invest in a graphic designer. It's hard to invest in your first product packaging run. But if you believe in yourself and it's what you want, then it's gonna pay you back eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. And we get this question a lot, and I've seen this question a lot of times in the group over the last week as well. How much does it cost to start a business? And there is no set answer to this question. I've seen people like Emma who just had a ring fence around a pot of money that they were going to use. I've also seen people go out and fundraise over 7 figures. And, you can go into the mainstream beauty industry and they'll tell you that you need a minimum of like 5 million to get started. Total rubbish, total nonsense. You can start on a shoestring. You have to accept, obviously, that, you may not go quite as fast as a big brand might, but it will be more rewarding in the long run because it's yours and you're creating it from the ground up. And that is something very, very special. So I love that. Okay, here we go. Here's another good one. And if you have any other questions for Emma, just do, post them up underneath this video and we'll try and get to them. We'll be here for another 10, 15 minutes or so. So try and get your questions in while you can. Okay, how long did it take you to create the final version of your products? And how do you handle failures? And congrats.
Oh, yeah. I think some of the products that I have, I spent about 1.5 years formulating. Some of them a little bit less than that. I think sometimes you just you hit on it right away. Like, for example, I'm working on an eye product right now that I think I've made 6 iterations, and I'm like, well, I love it. And I feel like I should keep going because it doesn't feel like enough. But there are certain products that I have, 50, 60 more iterations of. And that can take, you could do that really quickly if you were churning out maybe 3 or 4 different versions a day. But I definitely like to sit with the product for a while and use it, for maybe a week or 2. And okay, then is there a little tweak that I want to make, or I want to try something else? So my process is a little bit slower. I would say, yeah, between 6 months and, maybe 15 months is probably what you should plan on for product development, depending on what types of products you want to make, and what your own personal formulating process is and how much time you have to commit to it. It's definitely going to be different for everybody else. How do I handle failure? That's a really good question. It's probably a little different every day. I'm sure some days it's more of a panic, but what I try to do is just not necessarily, I don't really think of failure as failure. It's more of just, you tried something and it didn't work. It just means you need to try something else. And I think it's okay to fail. I think that that's part of business, and it's part of life. So you just kind of have to get to a point where you can accept it, process it, and then move on. So sometimes I have to step away from whatever, that failure was caused by for a little bit of time to be able to get back into it. But sometimes you can just keep going right away. So I think just trying to be in the mindset that just because you tried something and it didn't work out exactly how you wanted it to doesn't mean that it wasn't a learning opportunity and that you can't just continue from there. So try to change your mindset about what failure means to you and know that you can just keep going.
Yeah, totally. You have to fail at some point because it means you learn more from it. And particularly with formulation, you might have some complete disasters in the beginning. And those are the best learning lessons because all of a sudden you can then pick that apart and think, what did I do wrong? What happened here? What should I have changed? And then you make sure that doesn't happen next time. And all of a sudden, you're layering your knowledge there and you're becoming a better formulator, which is incredibly exciting. Let's see, we've got a few others. I love this question. How did you gain customers in the beginning?
That is a great question. Well, I do a lot of in-person events. I did a lot when I started out. I do a lot now. So those tend to be more like, I don't know if everyone is going to be familiar with this, but here in the States, we have an organization called Renegade Craft. And they are like a higher end market for makers and small businesses. So I do a lot of events that are similar to that. And at first I started out where I just would have like a small table with my products. Now I tend to build out bigger, like almost like installations that represent my brand. But I didn't do that at first. So don't feel like you have to start there. But I think the biggest way that I've gotten customers, both in the beginning and now, has been word of mouth from my current customers. So, I think it's okay to ask people to share your business. I think that can feel, you shouldn't do that. But if I have customers coming to me and saying, oh my gosh, I love your products, I say, thank you so much. Please share it with your friends, or please leave a review online. Yeah. Please post about it on your social media. I ask my customers to do that for me. And in general, they're very glad to help because they want to help a small business owner. And they want to share about products that they love. They want to be the person that discovered this really great new brand that then all their other friends can fall in love with too. So that's a big way. I very recently, so I'm about, like I said, a year and a half in, I very recently started advertising, like paid advertising on Instagram and social media. So that is certainly not the first step that you have to take. It has helped my business. It's kind of expensive, but it does pay off. So if that's something that you're able to do right away, that is an option as well. But yeah, I think in-person events, word of mouth from current customers, social media helps. I don't consider myself to be like a social media maven by any means. It's something that I do, but it's not something that I'm great at doing consistently. So if that's your thing and that's the area that you decide that you want to go with, I think that's a great option. I also was really fortunate to be able to partner with a couple of small retail locations in the very beginning of my business launching. And that was just me going to them and saying, hey, I have this new product. I think your customers are really going to love it. Can we get it in the store? And those retail locations now are some of my biggest retail locations because they've grown a really big customer base having my products there for a year and a half. And I think if you're able to partner with that, that allows almost like organic discovery of your brand because people are out shopping and they're discovering other products in a store. You're not necessarily having to do the legwork, but your product is there representing itself. Yeah. So make sure that your packaging tells your story and that your packaging talks about your product, and that if someone were to pick it up, they would know what your brand is about, what your products do for your skin, and then hopefully they can find you maybe on social media or go to your website based on running into your brand kind of out in the wild.
There you go. People follow people. And as you can tell, Emma is super personable. She's putting herself out there. She's getting to know people and she's talking very proudly about her brand. And if you want to sell confidently, then you have to just connect with people. That's really the sort of foundation of marketing and sales. Okay, we haven't got much more time, so I'm just going to quickly answer a couple of questions about Formula Botanica. Is the course interactive since it's self-paced? How will we know if we're doing things right or wrong? Well, there are quizzes in your course that you have to pass in order to be able to unlock the next component of your course. And there is a tutor forum. We have 6 members in our education team, lots of tutors in there who are constantly answering questions. And you'll know if things are going right or wrong through the formulations that you're making. But we also have a lovely classroom with over 6,000 students in it at the moment, which is a fantastic environment, also not just to connect with us, but also to connect with your peers. And let's see. Okay, here we go. Here's another great question. How do you deal with fear of uncertainty when starting your skincare brand?
I don't know that I had a ton of that, to be completely honest. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, everyone is uncertain about a little thing. I think, like I said, there were some areas that I knew I felt a little uncertain about. Education was one of them. So I solved that by getting some education and then being proudly able to tell people about it. Branding and packaging was another one, which is why I hired someone that I trusted. You don't have to do everything yourself. I think getting other people that you trust to do the work and that you believe in and whose vision you want to align with your own, that helps you, I think, get past that uncertainty. You know, as far as, you know, uncertainty about knowing if you want to start a skincare brand, I knew it was what I wanted to do. It's definitely my passion. I love the feeling of helping people, which I think was an unexpected kind of byproduct of having a skincare line, is that people see their skin as this like outward projection of their like inner confidence and their inner self. And if their skin looks good, then they feel really good about themselves and about their, you know, appearance, and they feel confident and they're able to move through life in this different way. And so it's really been rewarding to have customers come back and tell me like, your products really changed my skin. And you can tell that they feel like so confident and they feel glowing and they feel, you know, ready to kind of move about their day in this like really new, exciting way. So that's been really rewarding for me. And I've loved doing that.
Awesome. What a fantastic place to end, because we have come to the end of our hour. Here's just one final comment. Emma, you're an inspiration. I appreciate your transparency. Thank you so much. You provided great insights. I completely agree. Thank you. So thank you so much, Emma, for joining us. And thank you, everyone, for your amazing questions. I have tried to cover most of them. There were some duplicates. So if I didn't answer your specific question, that's because it had already been answered. Obviously, we're here in the group. The group will be here for another 5 days until we close the whole thing down, sadly, because that's when our masterclass ends. And that's also when our International Organic Skincare Entrepreneur Program closes for enrollment. But I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. First of all, Emma, if everyone here wants to connect with you, where can they find you? Where should they follow you?
Yes. So everyone should grab their phones, go to Instagram. You can follow me and my business. Our account name is This Is the Sunday Standard. So follow along there. If you have questions that didn't get answered and you want to reach out, I'm always happy to help. You can send me an email. My email is hello@shopthesundaystandard.com. You can also find that on my website, which is shopthesundaystandard.com. So definitely go on there, check out the range, send me an email if you have questions, connect with me on Instagram. And I hope to see some new followers. I love talking to people about skincare. I love talking to people about my beauty brand. And hopefully I can answer some questions that help you launch your own brand as well. So.
There you go. And that link is right here. Kelly's put it up, shopthesundaystandard.com, and come and follow Emma on Instagram as well. So thank you so much. Lots more comments. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you. Well, hang on, I'm trying to show it. It was really inspirational. That's lovely. You know, thank you so much, Emma. I will follow. I would love to try your products. You should go and buy from Emma because you want to try these amazing facial oils and the mask and the balm and everything else. So amazing. So as I said, enrollment will be open for another 4 days or so. We close on Tuesday at 4 p.m. London time, which is 8 a.m. LA and 11 a.m. New York. And well, you can check it all out on our website. So we hope to see you there, because as I said, we're already welcoming the hundreds of new students who are joining us and who will be changing their life, just like Emma has, by creating amazing formulations like these and selling them and creating their own business. So I hope to see you there, and I hope you'll be able to join us too. Thanks so much again, Emma. It's fantastic interviewing you, and I can't wait to go and cleanse my face tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Lorraine. This was so much fun.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Bye.